I stuff myself sometimes calling Mike because we've been friends for a long time. Governor Parsons has been a great advocate for law enforcement, for public safety, and keeping our community safe. And I'm awful proud of that support that we have from the governor's office. That's been a great blessing for us as we fight the fight out here on the street to keep our community safe. So let's have a round of applause for Governor Parsons. Thank you. All right, that's really about all I got. So we'll just hang out for a little bit, wait for the governor to arrive. He should be coming in just any minute. Vicki, you want to say a few words? Vicki? You will later. Okay, great. Okay.
You know, I wouldn't have seen him. How you doing? Good. And when you talked, I thought, my God, somebody else.
Hello.
What's going on?
I just want to say hi. Come in the truck tomorrow?
Okay, good to see you.
I can't be on there anymore. All he's doing, and now all he's doing is making trouble. He did ask about it. Oh, you're right. You gotta have several on the other side. Yeah, he did say that.
Yeah, sorry, that mic's right.
Yeah, he had to be somewhere else today.
You'll understand why God made not everyone plants your streets in those flyover states. Couple guys first class on a flight from New York to Los Angeles. Kind of late, long talk in the time, working with the flight attendants. 30,000 feet above, will be Oklahoma. Just a bunch of square cornfields and wheat farms, man. It all looks the same. Miles and miles of back roads and highways connect to little towns of fun.
I had that feeling something just
Live down there in the middle of nowhere. They've never drove through Indiana. Bet the man's wild at her, planted that.
Oh yeah, yeah. He's sitting right back. How many people can they fit on the bus? I don't see a lot of circles.
My old man, that old man, spent his life living off the land. Heavy hands and a clean soul. It breaks his heart seeing foreign cars filled with fuel it isn't ours, and wearing cotton weed.
Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome to Henry County, your governor, Mike Parsons.
Decorates on the 4th of July, but says every day is Independence Day. She's golden rule, teaches school. Some folks say it isn't cool, but she says the pledge of allegiance anyway. He's got the red, white, blue flag high on the farm. Semper Fi tattooed on his left arm. Spent a little more in the store for a tag, and the back it says USA. Won't buy nothing that he can't fix. With WD-40 and a Craftsman wrench, he ain't prejudiced. He's just made in America. Born in a heartland, raised up a family, a King James and Uncle Sam. He's got the red, white, blue flag high on the farm. Semper Fi tattooed on his left arm. Spent a little more in the store for a tag, and the back it says USA. Won't buy nothing that he can't fix. With WD-40 and a Craftsman wrench, he ain't prejudiced. He's just made in America. Made in America.
All right, Henry County, who's excited for the red, white, and blue? Who's ready in 4 days to send the liberals and the radicals packing so we can elect strong conservatives like President Donald J. Trump and Governor Mike Parsons? In 4 days, you're going to make a very important choice. And I'm sure all of you here today are ready to make that choice if you haven't already. The choice between freedom and free stuff. The choice between socialism and capitalism. A choice between law and order and lawlessness. And I, for one, am ready to send Governor Mike Parsons back to the governor's office. This is stop number 27. Number 27 of 33. We started last Saturday, and we're going to carry this thing into Election Day next Tuesday, November 3rd. We are excited because we're going to send strong conservatives like your Attorney General, Eric Schmidt, your State Treasurer, Scott Fitzpatrick, your Secretary of State, Jay Ashcroft, Lieutenant Governor Mike Kehoe, and our governor back to serve in Jefferson City. I want to make a special welcome and announcement today to the defender of freedom of our Missouri Republican Party, your chairwoman, Kay Hofflander. Over the past year, we've seen the liberals and the radical left try to fundamentally change how we conduct our elections in this state and in our country. But thankfully, we have a strong individual who stood firm for integrity, protecting your vote, securing the ballot box. You sent him to the Secretary of State's office 4 years ago. Please join me in welcoming Secretary of State Jay Ashcroft.
4 days. 4 days to decide whether we have 4 more years of Donald Trump, of Governor Mike Parsons, if we re-elect Congresswoman Hartzler. You know, it's a stark debate. Do you want good jobs or do you want a government check? Do you want opportunity? Do you want depravity? Do you want the government to run your life or do you want to make the decision? This country, over 240 years ago, was formed in the most incredible way. Because the individuals that overthrew King George, they didn't put themselves in charge. No other country had ever done that. They didn't want to have a king or a queen. They said, we're going to have citizens. And the people of this country will lead. And this republic will be of the people, by the people, and for the people. But Brand X doesn't like that. They don't like the rule of law because they can't get ahead if they're required to work hard. They don't like responsibility. They don't like the values that made this country what it is. And we have a decision to make. You know, the story goes that after the Constitutional Convention, a lady came up to Benjamin Franklin and she asked, what sort of government have you given us? And he said, a republic, if you can keep it. Throughout history, the good people of this country have had to make the decision to keep this republic. They've had to make the decision that opportunity would continue for future generations, that the American promise of greater opportunity for every generation would continue. Now's our time. 4 years ago, I thought we had the starkest choice we could ever have. The media, the coast, they were all with her. And it was pretty bleak and it was pretty dark, and we were told, might as well give up, it's over, it's done, it's decided. Pollster said it's in the bag. But luckily, a deplorable group of people across this country said no. They said it's our country, they're our values, it's the future of our children, we're going to protect it. And we've got 4 days to work. You can sleep on the 5th day, I'll sleep and get my voice back on the 5th day. But please, I don't want 20 years from now my children to look back and say, why, Dad? Why didn't you give us what you had? Why didn't you protect it and safeguard it? We've all had the opportunity and the blessing to live and breathe in freedom in the greatest country on the face of the earth because those that went before us, because they paid the price. We cannot pay them back. They are dead and gone. But we can pay it forward for future generations. And I beseech you and I implore you for the next 4 days not to give up, not to quit talking, not to quit preaching the message of Republican responsibility and hard work and the values that made this country what it is. To explain that our rights don't come from the government, they don't come from the Constitution, they come from God Almighty. And we have a Constitution to tell the government, no further, you shall protect those rights against them. So please, in these last 4 days, it's a sprint. Not only will you have the long-term benefit of knowing that you did your duty, you answered the call. But if you're like me, you'll get a little bit of mischievous pleasure also. In 4 days, if you ask one of your Democrat friends what station CNN is, because I don't know what it is, I don't watch that. But you turn that over about 10 o'clock on November 3rd, when the lips are starting to quiver and the tears are starting to run down their eyes, and they realize that this deplorable group of people that are the greatness of this nation have once again stood up for liberty and opportunity and re-elected Donald J. Trump, have elected Governor Mike Parsons and Lieutenant Governor Mike Keel, hopefully our Secretary of State again, and have made the difference for future generations. Thank you. God bless you. Don't stop. 4 days
And it's not just the deplorables are coming after. The Democrats think, Missouri Democrats think that this group right here today is a bunch of illiterate hillbillies. How about that? How about that? Well, let's just have this group of illiterate hillbillies show the Democrats of Missouri that we aren't going to stand for that. We're going to send strong conservative Republicans back to Jefferson City. Not only are we going to send strong Republicans back to Jefferson City, but we are going to send a fighter back to Congress. Your 4th congressional congresswoman is somebody that has fought for you. Your congressman is a Missouri farm girl that's making a difference in Washington, D.C. She was sent there to fix a broken system, and she's doing just that. She's helped invest in the world's best fighting men and women. Help me welcome your Congresswoman, Vicky Hartzler.
Thank you. Wow, what a great place. I would not want to be anywhere else than right here in Missouri, champion the re-election of our governor, our Secretary of State, our Lieutenant Governor, our Attorney General, and our Treasurer. We have such great leaders in this state, and we're going to re-elect Donald Trump to the presidency of the states. I am so honored to represent you in Washington, and it gives me a little bit different perspective on all of our statewide elected officials that we are championing here today. At the beginning of the coronavirus, we passed some money to help people, to help their schools, to help our healthcare, to get research, to get all our senior citizens have telehealth, on and on. And we pushed out a lot of money to the states. And you know, weeks after, even months after, I was shocked to find out that 33 of our states had kept the money at the statewide level. And just recently, they're starting to trickle the money out to the county and the local levels. But that's not what happened here in Missouri because of Governor Parsons. He and the legislature and Scott Fitzpatrick, our treasurer, they worked tirelessly to get that money out. And so every county was given some of that money to reimburse for our schools, for the nursing homes, for our hospitals. And that's because of the leadership of our governor. And I want to thank you for that. Thank you. Scott Fitzpatrick, he put him as our treasurer in charge of that, and he has gotten that out, and he's moved forward. I want to mention Eric Schmidt, too, as our Attorney General. Yesterday, there was an article that came out that was shocking, but it made me so proud of what he is doing, that just in Oak Grove, Missouri, which isn't that far from here, they arrested 5 men involved in a sex trafficking ring, and they have rescued 10 victims as well as 2 children. And this is because of Eric Schmidt leading with a sex trafficking task force. And he says, we're not going to put up with that here in Missouri, and we're going to stop that. So I appreciate Eric's leadership with that, and I appreciate Jay Ashcroft. Talk about leaving it on the table. I mean, this guy is giving his all, and he does all the time. And when the coronavirus first hit, he personally visited every county in our state, delivering personal protective equipment to our election workers, setting up a system so every voter in Missouri will feel confident next week being able to vote safely. And I appreciate you doing that. He is amazing. His work ethic is amazing. He came to me and asked me to sponsor a bill in Congress called Safe at Home Act, because he recognized here in Missouri, he helped get a law passed, that if you're a victim of domestic violence, you don't want to have your name on the public record where potentially your abuser could come back and find you, and how you need to set up a P.O. box number, another way to get mail. And so Missouri has that system, but it's not at the federal level. So victims are still very vulnerable. And so he came to me and asked me to sponsor that. And so I am proud to do that. And I want to thank you for all your effort that you're doing working with so many domestic violence victims in our state. But, you know, one of the themes that Mike has is this so appropriate is Mike works for us. Mike works for Missouri, and both of us growing up on a farm, you learn the work ethic there. And that's one thing I've always appreciated about him. He knows how to drive a tractor, and he knows the difference between a bull and a heifer, and he knows how to work hard for all of us here. But I also appreciate, as Sheriff Kent mentioned earlier, your service to our nation, serving in the armed services, and then your role in law enforcement. I feel very honored to represent you on the Armed Services Committee, and it makes me feel good knowing we have not only a governor who is a farmer, who knows how to roll up his sleeves and get things done, cares about people, but he's also a veteran, and he loves this country. And I want to thank you for your service to our nation. But we need to continue the leadership and the work that you've begun. And I'm so proud to stand here today and to support you and all of our statewide ticket. You know, as has been said earlier, this really is a choice that we are facing as a nation next week. Whether we're going to go with law and order or lawlessness, whether we're going to embrace socialism or we're going to keep capitalism, whether we're going to support life or support those who would take life and embrace abortion. I mean, this is a stark choice. And whether we believe in defending our nation and a strong national defense, or whether we just are going to be embarrassed and we're going to withdraw and apologize around the world for America's greatness. Well, I don't know about you, but I'm going to choose America's greatness. I'm going to choose life. I'm going to choose law and order. I'm going to choose the best opportunity for all in this country. And by re-electing Governor Parsons, all our statewide ticket, and Donald Trump as president. Let's go get him. Thank you. God bless.
Give it up again for Congresswoman Hartzler. Thank you. I'll add another layer to the choice that we're going to be making on November 3rd. Choice between hard work and individuals that want to hide in a basement. We have statewide Republicans. We have a president who are working hard each and every day to get our economy back up and running, to support our businesses, support our veterans. How many veterans do we have with us today? Let's give those gentlemen another round of applause. How about our law enforcement officers who brave it every day to keep our streets and our communities safe? Let's give it up for them. When the governor announced this campaign 14 months ago, last September, it didn't take long for the President of the United States, just the next day, to say, I am proud to stand with Governor Mike Parsons. And although he's traveling the country, our president is, he knows that we've got Missouri secure, and he's not able to make it here. But he sent somebody to help share a special message. So please turn your attention to the screens, and we've got a special message from Miss Laura Trump.
Hey Missouri, I'm Laura Trump. This November is the most important and most consequential election of our lifetime. My father-in-law has been working hard to make Missouri and America great again. You've got some great leaders in the state of Missouri, like Governor Mike Parsons, who's been working alongside our president to protect law and order, jobs, and life in your state. It's going to take all of us working hard to make sure we keep the socialist agenda out of Missouri and out of America. That is exactly why we need to make sure that you get out and vote to keep Missouri red, keep America red, and vote for conservatives all the way down the ticket, and at the very top, President Donald Trump.
We've got the hardest working governor in the United States of America, who when he came into office helped grow 40,000 new jobs, led the lowest unemployment rate. He's a sheriff, he's an Army veteran, he's a farmer. Please welcome your 57th governor, Mike Parsons.
Good morning, everyone. If it's morning, I don't know if it's morning or afternoon, but good day. It's a beautiful day here in Missouri. I am glad to be in Clinton, Missouri. My ties to your town. This is where I was born, in Clinton, Missouri. So you all started it right here. For better or worse, you started it right here. Man, it's great to be here. Let me introduce somebody else here today that's been with me thick and thin for 35 years. That's never signed up for these jobs like I have, but she's been there beside the entire time. And I want to tell all of you here, all you ladies that are here, all you men that are here, I'm just telling you, and I'm totally biased, but I'm telling you, she is a class act. She represents your values every day. Please welcome the First Lady of the state of Missouri, Teresa. And I know there's some legislators here. I know your senators here today. I think Roger's here somewhere. You've got some other people there. I'll miss everybody. But I also want to introduce somebody else. A couple other people I want to introduce. A guy and his wife that has been friends of my family's for a long time. Even kind of grew up in the same era that we did and everything. But a guy followed his footsteps in Jeff City a little bit. And I haven't seen him and his wife for a long time. But Delbert and Donna, I just appreciate you two so much for what you do. Vicki, thank you for your kind words. You're always doing a great job for us, keeping those Christian values and those moral values in check. You keep representing us up there. I got another special guest here that's a guy that I hadn't seen for almost 40 years, till here a while back, that I had a chance to meet and everything. And I want to introduce him here because he was a good friend when I was overseas that served with me in the United States Army. Please say hello to Billy Brooks and his wife. Billy? This election, you've heard a lot of hype on TV. We've heard a lot of people that think they're smart, that want to predict what this election's all about and why we're doing what we're doing. Let me tell you what I believe this election's all about. It really comes down to two things. Do you want a socialist agenda or do you want freedom? That's what this election's about right now, at this time, and this place. This is not old school Democrats that we're talking about anymore. This is extreme leftists that are ready to open the door for socialism that's already here in our country, and they want to bring it to Missouri. And the last thing I'm going to do as governor of the state of Missouri is give them 1 inch of ground to be a socialist state in the state of Missouri. I will tell you that. I'm not much, I'm talking bad about people. It's just the way I grew up in a little town. But I'm going to talk a little comparison notes about my opponent this morning because I think it's very important that people know where we stand. I grew up in a little town of Wheatland, Missouri, 356 people. My dad, when I was youngest of 4 boys, my dad and mom taught us things like how to be a good neighbor, how to respect people, how to help one another, and what it was like to sit in a church pew when I was a kid. Those values that my mom and dad give me in those days are the values I've used to be governor. It hasn't changed. The last 8 months have been the toughest of my career. Whatever you did, it didn't matter. It was very difficult to make the people of this state happy and to make the right decisions. But at the end of the day, this job's not about making people happy. It's about getting the job done. And the whole time, what I put at the forefront was you and freedom. And I wasn't going to let people take that away. When people wanted me to do a statewide mask mandate, that's not one guy's decision to make for you. That's why you have elected officials on the local level to make those decisions. That's why school board elections matter. That's why elected county officials matter. That's why city mayors matter. But one person should never have the ability to do a mandate against all Missourians for a mask. And let me tell you why that was so important to me. Because I think you're smart enough to know when to wear a mask, when not to. You don't need somebody telling you to do that. But I also will tell you, in December, there will be a vaccine. And you want to think about when you give government a power and authority over you, do you want a governor that mandates every man, woman, and child take a vaccine without you having any say about it? That'll never happen as long as I'm the governor of the state of Missouri, I'll tell you that. I served my country in the United States Army. I wouldn't be here today if I hadn't done that. I served as the Polk County Sheriff back home for many years in law enforcement. My opponent wants to defund the military, supports the people that wants to defund the military. She wants to defund police officers around the state of Missouri. And I'll tell you this, Clinton and Henry County, as governor and as a sheriff that's lost an officer in the line of duty, I know Kent's here somewhere, as a sheriff that had an officer shot 6 times and survived, and I was blessed and thankful that happened. Someone that my brother-in-law, Teresa's brother, lost his life as an EMT. I would never turn my back on law enforcement or the military in no way, shape, or form. I will always support them. My opponent supports both. She supports defunding the police, the people that do it. And Vicki, I feel for you right now because you're going to get a new colleague named Cori Bush out of St. Louis. And if you don't know who she is, you should. She was an activist in the middle of the streets trying to cause destruction. She wants to defund the police. She wants to defund the military. Let me tell you where your Missouri National Guard's been the last 8 months when I called them up. They've been delivering remdesivir to every hospital in the state of Missouri at 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning to save people's lives. That's what your military was doing. They were feeding school kids when school kids didn't have nobody to take care of them. They were working in food banks for the most vulnerable in our state of Missouri. And they were working on the front lines of civil unrest. And the reason they were working on the front lines of civil unrest, and that's why gray hair matters, that's why being an old sheriff matters, that's what being a veteran matters, because I didn't need the mayor of St. Louis or the mayor of Kansas City to tell me to call out the National Guard when I seen things happen in St. Louis and Kansas City. I activated them so they wouldn't burn our businesses down and they wouldn't commit crimes. My opponent doesn't stand for that. A year ago, a little over a year ago, my family was blessed for my son and my daughter-in-law to adopt a newborn. I wasn't expecting that in my family, but I'll tell you this, that little girl, she's a little over a year old right now. Every time I hold her, I feel her little heart. I feel how precious she is, but I also feel how fortunate she is. She could have very easily been a statistic. Very easily could have been. And I'm thankful that we get to hold her and everything. And I'm thankful, people, for the values that I believe in, that you believe in, that are here today. When I went to Jefferson City as a state rep, back in the day, there was 20,000 abortions in the state of Missouri. 20,000, let that soak in for a minute. 20,000 of those little Sophies that I hold on my chest that don't get a chance. Don't get an opportunity at life. But let me tell you what, because of all of you here today, because you sent good, Christian, valued people to Jeff City, state reps, state senators over the years, because of what they represent and they want to protect life, today in the state of Missouri there is less than 50 abortions performed a year because of what we've done. My opponent had a fundraiser, a virtual fundraiser, when 365,000 people lost their jobs, civil unrest going across the state, people trying to figure out how they're going to work, how they're going to get their businesses back open. She had a virtual fundraiser on Sunday morning at 11 o'clock to celebrate abortion. And if you joined, you got a free cocktail. Let me tell you something, that's not Missouri values. Most of us are in church on Sunday mornings. Most of us are thanking the good Lord for all the blessings we've had. Well, that's the agenda of that. I get endorsed by almost every ag organization in the state of Missouri. I'm proud. I'm proud to be, they call me hillbilly all day. I don't care. I kind of fit the mold, you know, and I like that, you know. I've been endorsed by Right to Life, and I'm proud of that, to stick up for them. And I am proud to have the highest rating the NRA has to give to me in the state of Missouri. My opponent has been endorsed by people like Bernie Sanders. How's he fit here in Clinton, Missouri? Oh, it gets better. How about Elizabeth Warren? All right, how about Vice President candidate Harris? You remember what Vice President candidate Harris said when she was wanting to be president of the United States? If you don't, you better remember it. She said if Congress, Vicki, if you didn't act within 100 days to do something about guns, she was going to come to your house and my house and take our guns. Not as long as I'm governor of the state of Missouri, she's not going to do that, and we're not going to allow that. So when I say this election's about freedom, or it's about socialism, it's about a guy that's run gas stations, and I know what it's like to write a check. I know what it's like to pay the bills, like many of you had to work for. My opponents never created a job in her life. Not one. That's the difference. Leadership does matter. Experience does matter when you're governor. Believe me, you have to make tough decisions every day. And you got to do what's right, protecting people's freedom. The only reason that I've been able to do what I did is because of those values I learned on that little farm in Wheatland, Missouri. And I rely on them every day to be governor. And I'll tell you this, coming from that little town. There was 2 flags that flew in Wheatland, Missouri when I was growing up. One over the post office, one over the schoolhouse. And we said the Pledge of Allegiance every day, just like many of you here did. I will tell you, I truly did not understand the flag of the United States of America and the Pledge of Allegiance until I wore the uniform of the United States Army. And what I soon realized at 19 years old, it wasn't about me. It was about all the people that served our country, that give their lives, that sacrificed everything so me and you could be here today in Clinton on the square. That's what they did for all of us. And I will tell you, every one of you are here today, the only reason you're here is because of your mom and dads, because of your grandparents. And I will take it all the way back to our forefathers when they passed things down like the Constitution, the Bill of Rights, the Declaration of Independence. It has been passed down for 240 years, and here we are in Clinton. It is our time. It is our time to pass it down to the next generations and to make sure we keep America great. Thank you so much. It is an honor and privilege to be the 57th governor. God bless you. God bless Missouri. And God bless the United States of America.